Hey guys, it's an election season. St. George City elections are the most important thing. We want you to go to votestg.com and find out who's running and what they stand for. See us all over Southern Utah in our voter information booth. We'll be at Digby's Market, Red Rock Bicycles, and the park. We'll see you out there. But St. George has exploded over the last 15 years and 10 to 15 years just on a train, a runaway train.
I think COVID did more to bring more people here than we could have possibly dreamed of.
And the interesting thing, too, is I keep hearing that people feel like, oh, well, we're building way more than we ever have. But when you look at the actual permits and you look at the actual completion of dwellings, we're not actually all that fast in comparison to the early 2000s. We were doing more building in the early 2000s. It's just that in the early 2000s, the demand wasn't there. A lot of places were just sitting empty, which is why the market crashed.
Right.
And so we have demand, and the people are filling them up as we're building them. So it does feel like there's a little bit of a runaway train. So I can understand the fear and the feeling of like, how do we pump the brakes on this? What do you think are some solutions to slowing it down? Not necessarily stopping it. Do you see benefit in slowing it down? Do you think
I think there is a benefit in slowing it down, and it's kind of naturally happened right now because of interest rates and different things like that. Mm-hmm. So we are seeing a decline, but still not anything to worry about.
Right.
I mean, there's still tons of work to do.
Yep.
But it's like, how do you stop people from moving here?
Or how do you stop private landowners from wanting to go put a boutique hotel up on their property that they know is going to get filled up? Right. And I would rather have a hotel than any more short-term rentals. Like if we could just stop with the short-term rentals, right? I'm in that camp. We
have over 2,000 illegal short-term rentals in St. George.
On top of the ones that are legal.
Yep.
On top of the ones that are legal.
On top of the ones that are legal. And the state legislature really tied her hands a few years ago. So we used to be able to go on the Airbnb sites or different sites and book something.
Yeah.
And then go after them that way. We can't even look now.
Yeah.
You're not even allowed to look.
You can't. It's kind of a funny thing is you put these handcuffs on the people that are meant to try and enforce the rules that we have, but there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that.
Because think if all those houses were freed up for even rentals, long-term rentals.
Long-term rentals, yeah.
There's one in my cul-de-sac. Here's just kind of a quick example.
Oh yeah, so Jeff gets fired up about this one.
Yeah, they put the burden on me,
right?
Because there's kids playing in the cul-de-sac, my kids, and I've got my own personal reasons set aside, but they put the burden on me to catch the people like walking in and out, and I've got to video them, and I've got to send the link in, and it's virtually impossible to get. I think I've seen the city, one of those little city cars swing by every now and again, but I mean, I've just kind of given up because it's almost impossible to.
You gotta catch them red-handed, right?
Yeah, I don't want to walk up to somebody and be like, "Hey, did you book this on Airbnb? Like, you shouldn't be doing that." It's like, well, I'm not blaming them. They're the ones that booked it, Right. So, anyway.
My daughter, she lives on a cul-de-sac as well, and my youngest daughter, and the neighbors right across the street from her were renting the back portion of their house. They kind of turned into an apartment on Airbnb. Well, this couple from Germany rented it, and then he went out and got totally drunk that night and came back. Thank goodness an Uber brought him back. But he couldn't remember where they were staying. And he ended up in the backyard of a house 2 homes down, trying to get in their house. And this home is owned by a man and a lady who have 5 daughters. And the guy went out with a baseball bat and beat the crap out of him.
Oh my gosh. He's lucky you didn't shoot him.
He is very lucky you didn't shoot him. And now they're renting long term.
Yeah.
They quit the Airbnb thing.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that.
So,
the Germans like to party, apparently.
So it's really hard and my daughter was upset about it because she's got 3 little kids. And she said, you never know who's going to be across the street.
Yeah. And going to the short-term rental, I almost feel you almost feel for the city council of old that didn't see this coming, because who would have seen it coming, right? Like this thing is going to catch on, and it's everywhere in Utah. But it's all over places that are destination areas, right? And it's an opportunity to make money. And in some cases you can make money. In some cases you don't actually even turn that great of a profit because of the cost and damage.
I saw a funny. Sorry to cut you off, but I saw a funny meme about if there was some way to short Airbnb hosts, I would do it.
Oh yeah, just short them where you could like bet on this one is definitely not gonna last very long.
Bet on them failing.
Yeah, because a lot of them do end up failing, and I think there's some resorts that have done a really good job. I like Paradise Village. I think they did a great job. There's certain communities that have done, it's almost like a timeshare type thing, like Las Palmas has done.
Right, and you know what you're getting. If
exactly
you buy
what you're
up
getting.
there, you know what you're getting.
And there's the commercial aspect as an investment goes, is that you can kind of predict something out and you can get a return on your investment on those things. We talked about this on the last housing market episode that we did, was if you want a vacation rental that supplements some income, maybe that's a good market. But if you're going to buy something as a vacation rental just to make money in Southern Utah, that's dried up. So going back to what you'd said about, the market has changed some things for us. How do we now take this opportunity, this little window of time, and put things in place that'll help guide us down that road, which is why I'm so interested in that 20-year plan and how they move it forward. So do they meet, when they're talking about the 20-year plan, do they have like a goal of like figuring this out by this date, or are we waiting through the election? What is it?
Good question. So when we were doing the downtown master plan, we brought a lot of different community stakeholders in. And so we would meet, it was weekly, and it was via Zoom, so people could join in wherever they were, and came up with this plan. And it wasn't just city council members. In fact, there could only be 2 council members on that committee because 3 would make a quorum.
Right.
And so, and I thought they did a really good job of all coming together and doing this. And I think we need to continue on, especially where we don't have the expert now. I mean, our community development director is an expert, but think of all the balls he has in the air.
Yeah.
Just with development in general.
Yeah.
To now sit down and go over the whole general plan for the entire city.
Yeah.
So
you start to stretch resources really thin, right? And then when you're dealing with a budget, that even though it feels like this massive number, at the end of the day, those dollars and cents, they go pretty fast, right? And you're like, when you hire on personnel and we bring on added support to help manage this, it's the fifth largest by population city in the entire state. We're not a small town. I think that idea, that mentality has to get put to the side. I know it feels like a small town. We want to keep it that way, but it's not. So I'm interested. I didn't realize that they had scrapped having the expert, support them in that. So that'll be an interesting conversation as I move forward. So,
and I was really disappointed they did, because I thought it freed up so many resources on the city's shoulders, and they didn't have the final say. Just because you hire an expert to come in doesn't mean, they get all the power, and they're taking all the power away from the legislative body, which is the city council. In the end, they have the final say.